Ladies and gentlemen, today is February 25th, 2012. This is the KNKL Show, episode 32, and I am your host, Kienan Lafferty. Today we are going to be doing a tutorial on how to render armor and metallic objects. But before we get into that, you may be wondering why World of Warcraft is playing behind me. And I will sum that up by saying I'm actually going to be throwing a party in the World of Warcraft next Sunday. And it is free to play now, so there's no reason why none of you should get on, make your own accounts, and join me. But the main reason why I'm doing it is because I'm going to be testing out the new live stream page via playing music. Basically, I'm going to be throwing this party in World of Warcraft, and I will be DJing on my live stream for all of you to tune into and listen to the music. So, if you're interested, I'm going to be posting a video with more details in the comments section. Make sure to check that out. Now we will move into our other news. That is the live stream, which we will be playing through it, obviously, and the Twitter. Thank you all for everyone who has been subscribing and following me on Twitter so I can bug you and let you know when the new episodes have been going live. On the actual YouTube channel, you can see we are actually getting close to the 2K mark. So thank you once again for everyone who has been subscribing, and please continue to do so. And my favorite part of all, the Facebook. Yes, thank you so much to everyone who has been submitting their awesome artwork. It is always a pleasure to come on here and see all of the amazing works of art that you guys submit. And I'm glad that you guys continue to do that. So, make sure to tell your friends about it, follow, and continue posting stuff, because I love it. Now, without further ado, we will jump right into our tutorial. Close that down, and for the tutorial today, we are going to be beckoning to our lovely lady friend, Riven, once again. And she's going to be helping us out with, obviously, our armor and metallic materials. A lot of people have been asking me exactly how to get this type of effect, as you've seen with the redeemed Riven splash art. And today, this is basically what I'm going to be covering. So with that, we will get started. As you can see, the lines and the mask have already been laid out, and we are going to be going right into coloring. So the first thing you want to do before you go into the rendering out your metallic subject is you want to figure out what your light sources are. And generally, you're going to be coming from a position of the main light source and then a reflected light source, usually kind of what is going to be reflected not only from the ground, but kind of the world around it. So the easiest way to do that is, now that we have our mask, create another layer over top of it and create clipping mask, as I showed you guys how to do that in the Maokai Daily, if you guys recall. And so we will do that, and we will jump right into color. So since we're going to be going with like a silver, let's do like a reddish kind of silver. And we'll go kind of dark and a little bit saturated to start with. And let's make sure everything's all good to go with our brush settings. Yup! We're going to be working with a soft brush to start, just to help us get the proper gradients and everything down. So since you have your mask already laid down, you can simply take your brush and begin coloring like this. Now, next up, you have your shiny gradient. Let's say we're going to have like a white-yellow light shining on this. Sort of like a good sunlight. So let's kind of kick it to, not quite straight to white yet. We'll kind of go to like this orangish, kind of golden thing. And now the most important thing that I feel when I'm rendering metal is, if you look in this picture here, you'll notice that there's actually a line of the shine that goes down, and you can follow it, see? Like right down through there. And it goes down through the leg and everything. And that, I feel, kind of helps to sell the point of it being kind of shiny and metallic. It's kind of like an anime thing to do, but I kind of take it in when I'm rendering my stuff. So we'll kind of do the same thing here. We'll kind of put a line right through here, like that. See? That wasn't so hard. And we'll put a line through here. And I'll put a line, put a line through there. And then right here, put a line there, a line there. And think of these as lines actually going down. they're not going to go down like this because these are obviously in shadow. So think of it as a line going down. So it's going to catch here and a little bit right there. You can go back in and erase it. All right, so next up, you're going to be thinking about your reflected light as well. And that's the light that's going to be coming from mostly below it and the world around it. So let's say kind of like this grayish material. Let's think of that as our reflected light or environmental light. Ambient light. And I'll kind of throw that down underneath it. Everywhere there's a surface or it's underneath something, I'll throw that down. And get a little there too. And what that helps to do, as you can see, is kind of round it out. It kind of starts to round the surface. Now the important thing to do when you're rendering metal is wherever your main light source is or wherever your specular is going to be happening, the thing I really like to do is I go in with a darker color. So let's kick it even further down and saturate it a little bit. And I want to make like a hard edge against it. So kind of like this. See how these like gradate softly? I want to create a hard edge against wherever the shine is. Like that. And you can see we're playing around with a little bit kind of what we did in the Maokai daily as well, where we did desaturated lights, and then as you go to shadows, you saturate the shadows, as you can see here. It's still pretty desaturated, but it's saturated for like rendering a silver. So up next, let's go to an even brighter highlight. Let's go more towards yellow and desaturate even more. So we're approaching even more of the gray area. And you'll throw down sort of like a hot specular wherever you want it. Got a little one there, a little one there. And you can see how the metal is actually starting to take shape just with these colors that you throw in. But really, I think the most important thing to remember is there's a big contrast line between the dark here and then the light here. That's looking pretty good. And you're working with a soft brush too, to allow the computer to do the calculations for you. That's what I really like doing. Less work in the end for you. And that is always something I'm willing to embrace. So now you can see our metallic sort of material is starting to appear in a way like it's shiny. But, however, in this one here, you can see that it's sort of nicked up and kind of damaged and worn looking. And I'll show you how to get that effect as well. As soon as we actually we're going to do the gold as well. So we've got our gold mask here. Throw a layer over top of it. You can alt-click between them to do the little clipping mask, or you can right-click it. By the way, thank you to whoever taught me how to do that. The alt-click, that's amazing. That's freaking awesome, and I'm using it a lot now that I finally know how to do it. So for gold, what I really like to do is for the shadows, what really makes something look gold to me is making the shadows look very kind of like this dark orange. Deep, deep orange. And we'll go ahead and just begin to paint that in. So that's the beginnings of our gold. Then, as you go towards the lighter parts, you're going to saturate it and push it more towards orange, and you're going to be slowly hue shifting up to the actual like perfect gold color. So same thing, follow your lines down, right? Line going this way, line coming through here. This line is coming through here, but since this is on a separate plane, you want to treat this just a little bit differently. Like it would be going up and up. So like if there was an arrow, it's going that way and that way and that way. You want to think about the plane that's actually existing here, and don't just, you know, draw a line across like that. However, the line does exist at the tops of here. So there, there, and there. And I'll probably grade it a little bit down towards the bottom too. Line right through there. And now again, let's do the ambient lights. And let's actually I'm going to take that same gray that we put on the silver, and I'm just going to kick it a little bit more towards the red, just to saturate it a little bit more, since we're working with gold. And I'm going to start adding those ambient lights to the gold. Just around the edges, where the world would be affecting it. A little there, a little there, a little there. Now we've gone saturated, so let's begin to lighten and desaturate, and hue shift back to yellow. This is where the real gold will start to show through. Specular there, there, there. Going up, like that. And remember, wherever that light is, you want to have the shadow very close to it to help bring about that cool metallic look. And you can even go back in and help to reinforce that as well. You can push it further down or you can push it further up. Either way, whatever works for you. Okay, so as you can see, we have the basics of the color structure for our armor set. Now what we want to do is begin going in and rendering and giving some texture and sort of make it look like it's seen some wars, you know? Make it look like it's had some battles fought in it. So to do that, we're going to be starting with the silver. Let's create another layer over top of the silver. And we are going to be switching from a soft brush to our hard brush. Alrighty. So let's zoom in a little bit. Let's start with the shoulder pad. So, and this is actually where things start to get easy, which is the nice part. We've actually done all of the hard work already. The colors are all down. We know what we're going to be working with. Now all it is texturizing. So the way that I like to do this is actually I'll just eyedrop, like I've shown you back in the ribbon daily. You'll eyedrop what color you want to start working with. So you hit that, it'll grab it, and then you've got your brush selected, right? You'll start to add like these little just flecks kind of going through like that. And you can kind of follow the curve. Like if you were to draw the polygons on this plate, you'd see it was going like that, right? So kind of just follow the curves of that a little bit. And they don't all have to go that way. Like they can kind of just go through and stuff. But basically, that's how you start to add aging. But there's one more thing. You're going to grab the opposite color back here, and you're going to start pushing that back in here. And what happens when you do that is, what it does is it gives you the illusion that the light is hitting here, it's going down a plane, and then it's coming back up. So it's showing you like a little crevice or like a little nick that's been put into that plate. And that is basically the effect as a whole, and that's all I do. I push these lines down into here, and then I grab the dark and push it back up into there. And when you create that noise, it starts to read as more tattered, more battle-worn. And you can do the same thing with any gradation point. So you can even push it a little bit into like this kind of softer orange. You can push the orange back into there. Push the orange up into here, you know? So it can go anywhere. Anywhere there's a gradation point, that's where you can start adding in stuff. So now you can see that the texture is starting to come through a little bit more. Like that. And really, that's all it is. So let's go into the gold and also do it on the gold as well. And usually by this point, I'm actually working over top of everything. So let's actually do that. When I'm painting at this point, adding texture, my layer is actually above my lines even. So when I'm painting, it will go over everything. which allows you to kind of sculpt and kind of just go over the lines in a way that you wouldn't be able to do if you were working behind it. It's good to kind of start a little bit of it, but like by the time you get into actual like the pushing and pulling of the colors, like here and here, it's good to be working over top because you can start to kind of just paint over these lines and start to take them out of the composition altogether. And that will leave you with a much cleaner, much more professional looking piece. And another thing to consider, aside from the usual shadows and stuff that's being cast on the metal, you know, like if you think of the light hitting here, it's going to cast a shadow here, and this metal is going to be casting a shadow here. But also there's going to be reflection points as well in it. Like there would be a shadow here, right? But there would also be a little bit of this color being picked up here as well because of the reflection. You start to throw in your light here, like that. See, and I'm just painting it now. I'm not using the gradient tool. So it's all about just, once you have the colors down and you know what you're working with, that's literally half the battle. And then you can go from there. Show you kind of how to put a little notch up in here. You kind of follow remember the lines that I was talking about. Kind of think of how this object exists in a 3D space and sort of create lines and scratches that help to reinforce that, and it will look really cool. And also think about whenever the notch is going down, it's sort of going to create, or like away from us, like this notch is kind of pushing in where it's dark, and then when it pops back up, you could even grab this color and throw it in because it's going to be catching light on its way back up. Like that. Same thing here and here. Wherever the light is catching is going to tell us where the metal is coming back up and the shape of it, basically. And you can go back in and texture. It's all about texture. The less gradient stuff you can see and the more texture, the better. That's kind of what's going to push it towards more of like a League of Legends splash style drawing. Let's throw a little bit more of this. Let me show you some big notches. Let's put a huge notch that would actually like deform the shape of this plate. So first I throw in the dark, then we'll grab the light where it's reflecting back to us. And let's actually carry this all the way until it's actually like a break in the middle. Like that, see? Now you can see clearly that there is like a huge chip in that metal. And you do that all just by the lines. Again, you're creating the lines with contrast points. The more you can do that, the more you can basically tell what you're trying to tell, but don't do it with black line. Do it with your contrast points. Like this line is still, you still see that line in your mind because of the two contrast points. And it doesn't have to necessarily just be a black line there. And throwing in contrast points. Let's add some more flex here. Kind of push those colors. And see, now you can see that this armor piece has gone from this to this. And that's all just from grabbing colors that we've already laid down and then just pushing and pulling them through each other to give us that proper texture. And then after you do that for a little while, you'll eventually, come to this point. And that's basically the secret. It's not that hard. It's mostly about having this highlight hitting a stark dark contrast against it to really make it look like it's metal. So I believe that will wrap up today's tutorial. So let me make sure I talked about everything. Oh yes, last week I asked a question to the audience about what cologne I should get. And I want to let you know that I actually did go to the mall and I was able to pick up, I'll show you right here, Dolce & Gabbana, the one. Freaking amazing. I love it. It is intoxicating. I put it on myself and I can hardly resist myself. So we know that that is doing its job properly, and I would like to thank you all for all your suggestions as to what cologne I got. I just want to let you know that that went well. Also, for those of you who saw the video of me at the dentist, it feels great to finally be done, and I feel like I have bionic mouth and I am indestructible. I can once again eat Captain Crunch and not have it jack up my teeth or the roof of my mouth. Well, actually, it still does that, but we'll see if I can get a roof of my mouth implant taken care of. So, with all of that out of the way, I would like to thank you all for tuning into the KNKL Daily, or KNKL Show, episode 32. Remember to check the comment down in the comment section about the Horde Dance Party. And be sure to leave a comment if you will actually plan on attending that. So, with all that out of the way, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. I'm Kienan Lafferty, and I will see you guys next time.